Hello. There's 0 people watching. That says a lot about my channel.
Perfect.
It usually takes a minute. But in case anybody's watching, this is me and Glenn Kellaway from the basement, and then some other guy what's his name? Sam St. John.
Hello.
And we are going to talk about a band called the Beatles and the Get Back documentary. Well, we could, if somebody wants to talk about something else, there's no rules, Glenn.
No.
Yeah. So, first of all, Glenn.
No ABBA. That's the only rule. No ABBA.
Overall, Glenn, what did you think of the ABBA documentary?
I loved it. Too bad it was in Swedish and I had to do subtitles. But other than that, it was really good. No, Get Back. I was like 10 out of 10, just maybe 12 out of 10. It was beyond my expectations. And like I just said to you a couple of minutes ago before we came on here, that I couldn't keep my eyes off the screen for like hours and hours. It was just like I didn't want to even turn my head for a second. It was just to watch them, the way it's so much. I mean, Let It Be was kind of grainy, really.
Yeah.
Compared to this, I mean, it's just like
I did see it in the theater.
Like they were in the living room
in the early '80s. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater when it came out, and I have a Blu-ray copy that's in pretty good shape. Yeah. It was like, but just the actual images were just fantastic.
Yeah. And Sam, what did you think?
I completely agree. The colorization, whatever Peter Jackson did to make it so sharp and just so breathtaking just to look at as an art form in itself was just beautiful to see. I mean, regardless of the content, just seeing those fresh new shots of the Beatles in itself is enough to preserve this documentary for years and years and years. Yeah. So I was thoroughly impressed with it. I'm probably going to be delving into the Beatles the next couple of weeks, just going all through their catalog again as a result of this, even though I know it backwards and forwards. It always takes just one little thing. Like a few years ago, it was the 8 days a week. Whenever they come out with the new box set with Giles Martin, whatever that little trigger might be, pushes me into the Beatles again. And this was that little trigger that I needed here at the end of 2021. So that's where I'll be the next couple of weeks, is in the corner with the Beatles. Don't mind me.
Yeah. And what's changed too, I guess, is, when you think back to the Let It Be album and all that, you think of it in a way like, oh, that's the bad part of the Beatles, right? Like the depressing and all that. And now seeing all this, it's like, okay, it wasn't that bad overall. They got lots of laughing and joking around, and they were the Beatles.
I agree. I mean, it looked to me, it was like anything that you see, whether it's sports, whether it's music, you're gonna have moments where there's bickering.
You're gonna see worse stuff than what we saw.
Yeah. And I think if there would have been a film crew for the White Album or for Revolver or Help, I think you would have seen similar arguments come up. They might not have been as burnt out, but the same kind of arguments might have been.
Well, they're family, right? You fight with you fight. You still love each other, but you have your arguments, right?
Yeah. Right.
You guys have both seen Let It Be, I'm assuming.
Yep. I have not.
You have not.
Okay. I've never seen Let It Be.
Well, I guess it's more of a question for Larry. But after you've seen this,
just leave.
Let It Be. Does this not make you question Lindsay Michael Hogg's judgment on how he put that documentary together and the footage he had and why he made it the way he did?
The big one for me was, remember when in the original Let It Be, when John and Paul are talking, right? And Paul's trying to be all, what's positive and all that. And John Lennon's just he looks kind of out of it in that.
Yeah.
John Lennon usually looks pretty, with it all the time. But in that part, he almost looks a bit dopey and he doesn't say anything. But in this version, it's extended and John's talking and he's fine, right?
Yeah. I don't know what his motivation he had to make Let It Be as dark as he did. Like it's just after I've seen this, because he had all that footage, and he could have still maintained whatever he wanted to say as the filmmaker, but I think he could have shown a bit more of a rosy side to it too. It just seems weird now that I watch. I'm just going, wow, what a totally different slant.
There wasn't really a story with it.
No,
It was just a bunch of clips, like
yeah. Oh, amazing.
So Bob, Janet Sampson. Hello, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
20 years since George died. Yes, today is the day.
Yeah.
I love seeing them creating songs that would later become classics.
Yeah, that's cool.
Paul tried his best to keep the band together, but he failed. You can really see it in the film.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't totally, like, they were on the roof at the end.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that Paul necessarily to put Paul out there. I wouldn't say he's the one who failed. I mean, at the time, I mean, it was one of those things where, like, I know the whole talk of this documentary was, what are they going to do? Are they going to, glaze over what the Beatles were going through? Because Let It Be as a film shows the Beatles, splitting up essentially, and you can see that that's happening. But the Beatles were going to do it one way or the other within that year or the next year. They weren't going to last much longer, just with their tensions. And even in this last part that aired most recently, George is talking about how he has enough songs for another few albums. And so George was definitely chomping at the bit to move on. And John was like, you should do it. And they were kind of saying, like, you got your thing, we've got ours. So I wouldn't put it all on Paul, but I mean, all four of them played a factor.
Yeah.
Well, my impression is that the Beatles would not even have existed after Brian Epstein died if it wasn't for Paul. Because John was basically John was a very lazy person. He just was. He was happy sitting at home, smoking a joint, dropping a tab of acid, watching TV, reading the newspaper, whatever. And George was fed up as soon as the touring stopped. I think he was ready to go after that. And Paul was the driving force. So he just was. And it really came out in the film.
What do you guys think about Yoko being in the studio?
I love the line when Paul said, imagine 50 years from now if they said the Beatles broke up because Yoko was sitting on an amp.
It was a true story.
Yeah. That was awesome.
That's amazing. That almost that prophecy that he had.
Well, I'll tell you what, Yoko sitting in the studio, she never really interrupted anything, didn't she? She just sat there.
And Linda was
there very respectful. No. Linda was more disrupting than anything. She's around taking pictures. And Heather's running around.
Playing the drums.
So, I mean, really, I don't know why you would slam Yoko too much on it.
And then when George left, Yoko's, doing her screaming and Paul's on the drums and all that. Like they're, they're into it. Like,
I agree. Yeah, I don't have anything, really, especially after seeing this, I don't really have a problem with her being there. Because like you all were saying, Linda was there. Maureen Starkey was there toward the end. I mean, they all had their family show up. Paul's brother shows up. I mean, it was kind of a family affair. And so Yoko at that point was John's family, so I mean, I don't really have any issue. Like you all were saying, she didn't really contribute a whole lot to the arguments or anything like that. She might have had some, behind closed doors conversations with John at home, but on film.
Yeah. There's a disturbing trend of speeding up old music for new releases. The original recordings of the Beatles are faster now.
What?
I don't know.
I have never heard that before, and I don't. For someone who's been listening to this music since 1964, I have not heard, unless it's so minute that.
Loved watching Paul literally drag hog. George looked like he was kind of finished with the band right from the start.
Well, I think another thing that comes clear for Michael Lindsay Hogg is he was clearly frustrated. He couldn't get them to do it. Like, they weren't motivated to do anything. I mean, when there's basically two parts to that documentary. The first part, when they're at Twickenham, is almost a totally different story than when they moved to Savile Row. And that part of Twickenham, I mean, he couldn't get them to agree to anything. He couldn't get them to practice and focus. It was ridiculous.
And
I felt sorry for
him.
Yeah, and even George Martin was. I mean, he was throwing in his expertise too, saying like, why don't we just go? And Glenn Johns, he said, why don't we just go through the songs that you have down, just in order, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just knock, because they weren't doing that. They would do a goofy version of, Two of Us or I've Got a Feeling, which is fine. I mean, they're having fun and loose, but they wanted them. They had a month to do all this.
What's an unfair assessment of John? That I said he was lazy?
Yeah.
I mean, John
I
admits
would
he was
say
lazy.
he could be lazy. But, yeah.
John admits he was lazy.
You do see, I mean, to that point, I guess, when Paul goes off to his meeting in the last episode, and the three of them are continuing to work.
Yeah.
John does kind of snap out of it. Plus, you have to think also, John was going through his drug issues at this time, so he wasn't all there mentally.
Part one, but part 2 and 3, he was great.
Oh, good. He
was just John Lennon.
The one scene, the one scene where you could tell that he might have been out of it, was he was just like, his face was just kind of blank, his mouth was open, and you could kind of tell that he wasn't there that day, that he had a rough night. But he was funny, and he was quick, and he was great on the guitar, and I mean, he was a leader.
Yeah. Boy, was he ever skinny? Did you notice that?
His waist is just.
He was like skin and bones. I'd never seen him that skinny before.
You always think of George as the really thin one.
Yeah.
John. Pretty lean.
Did you find the rooftop split screen obtrusive? I will say, if they're going to do the Blu-ray at some point, and they have the full concert showing it right without the split screen, then great. But if it's never going to be shown, then it's kind of disappointing that you did that. What do you think?
I would like to see just totally
instead of
focus on the Beatles playing.
Talking, they could have just had that separate, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll be a bonus feature on the DVD if it ever comes out.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah. Just the concert.
A few months after the recorded Abbey Road, we wish.
Yeah.
I
don't think they did have any video of that I know of.
No, I don't think so either. Just that photography session at John's house, the last kind of time they were all together, right?
Or a 6-month video of John growing his beard.
Yeah. Soundtrack version is all a fret lower than the records. Probably the original speed, and it sounds great.
The moment where the camera zooms in and lingers on Paul's face when John hasn't shown yet is when, the start of part 2.
Yeah.
And it's just Ringo at first, and then Paul shows up. And I think they're all wondering, like, John isn't there. It's like, is it over? Like, it's not looking good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it's deep how he says, and then there were 2, which, of course, Paul and Ringo are the only 2 left. So it's, again, foreshadowing eerily.
Yeah. And it's really funny the way they have enough respect for each other. Even when they're pissed off with each other, that it's a very gentlemanly conversation all the time. Even if they're basically telling the guy to F off, they say it in such a polite way. Like, it's amazing. No voices ever get raised. Like, I just find that odd. I'm having an argument with a friend. It's like, F you. But they just don't act that way. They're just totally respectful of each other in terms of, not taking it too far. I'm sure there was moments.
Remember that when I really yelled at you, Glenn, and I punched you in the face?
Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, and we just kissed and made up.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah. I still have the scar.
There's more viewers here now. So once again, I would like to introduce Glenn Kellaway from the basement and Sam St. John. First time on my channel. Aren't you lucky?
Yay.
Yeah, I would say so.
So Sam, tell us a bit about your channel, and I do have a link in the description for it.
Well, my channel's on a platform called YouTube. If you've heard about it, I know it's an up and coming thing. I like to quite often I do videos with Mr. Kellaway there. We've done some videos on Bob Dylan, the Monkees, album rankings, the Beatles. I like a lot of the same music as Glenn. I have some differences, but I love Americana. I love Tom Petty. Van Morrison, John Prine, kind of country-based artists, songwriters. I like Tom Waits and just all those guys. So I talk about those. I go to a few concerts, talk about concerts that I've seen. Do album reviews, all sorts of things. The same things that we all like to enjoy doing together. And I especially like doing things with Glenn and doing these kind of collaborations as well. I've done a few with other folks, so it's just fun to get to meet the people out there in the World Wide Web.
Yeah. Glenn, tell us about your channel for the 100th time.
Glenn Kellaway from the basement. I'm old. And I've been listening to music for many, many years. Original Beatle fan since 1964. So that's kind of one of my big passions is Beatles. And love all classic rock. I also, like Sam mentioned about Americana and roots music and stuff like that. It's also a big passion of mine. So basically to show new albums that come into my possession and talk about different artists and my musical experience and knowledge, and love to share the passion.
And we swap CDs, Glenn. You forgot to mention that.
Yeah, hold on a second. I got that written down just the way you told me. So Larry Graves, the great, Larry, I missed that word there you wrote. The great Larry Graves.
Thank you.
The incredibly great Larry Graves. The awesome Larry Graves. There's nothing else there, you just keep saying how good you are. Huh. There's nothing else to say. But we know we have a CD exchange. Every 2 weeks we get together and exchange 5 CDs. Then we review them, and then we pick 5 more, and it's been fantastic.
I'm looking forward to your new series where you swap leftovers from your refrigerators.
Oh, that's an idea.
That is an idea.
But Glenn, remember, I'm gluten-free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Disney says there's no market for extras on DVDs and they don't do them. But, that's rumors and maybe it's true, but it might be different.
And the thing with that is, they have to say that now because they want people to buy the subscription to get the documentary, and then they'll put the DVD out for next Christmas.
Well, I've heard that it's a 12-hour set when it comes out. I don't know where the person got that information, but that which includes a making of the documentary with Peter Jackson, and then another probably a couple hours more than what we saw.
He's known for like lots of extras, like for Lord of the Rings and all that. So.
Yeah.
How, Glenn, read that one.
How did
the
older people in the 60s react to the Beatles? Were they dismissive about it?
My mom and dad were okay.
My mom and dad were pretty supportive. They thought it was funny. They didn't think it wasn't something they'd listen to, and they thought it was kind of stupid and funny when they shake their heads and go ooh and all that stuff. They were just laughing. But my parents actually took me to the drive-in in 1964 to see A Hard Day's Night, so that was pretty cool of them to do that.
Yeah. So that's what Peter Jackson said. So I've been leaving comments on their Twitter. Have they announced a DVD Blu-ray release, or do I need to get Disney Plus and watch this before it goes away for another 50 years?
Well, Larry's going to get an advance copy.
That's right.
He's an insider.
Yeah.
So we'll find out soon enough. Just stay tuned to the Canadian Studmuffin channel.
In case Sean Lennon's watching. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Hey, Sean. Glenn Kellaway from the basement. You can get the link under Larry's. In case you got an extra set.
You'd love one of those white vinyl Imagine vinyl records. Right, Glenn?
Yeah.
I wanted to mention
there's Rich. Hey, Rich.
Yeah. I have some notes. I made some notes. That was and I've heard other people say it in their reviews, but when Peter Sellers, Sam, would you know who Peter Sellers? Yeah, okay, because you're younger. But when he arrived, that was so awkward, right?
It was.
Well, he was there for the Magic Christian, right? They were going to start filming the Magic Christian, and him and Ringo were starring in it. And the Beatles and Peter Sellers go back a long way.
Yeah.
And Peter Sellers is a friend of George Martin, who recorded all his comedy albums.
Yeah.
So there was a Beatles connection. I didn't find it that. I think they're all pretty comfortable with each other. And,
I thought it was strange that when he left, he was kind of like, "Well, I'll see you all later." And nobody really stood up, and Ringo kind of awkwardly grabbed his hand.
Yeah.
Thanks for dropping by, Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
I thought it was more awkward when Dick James came in because they don't like Dick James.
Yeah, especially with Paul. When
Yeah.
you had Paul to himself, Paul was like,
Yeah.
"Get away from me!"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They're not fans of that guy.
Yeah.
And, yeah. He's like a salesman. You could tell he was like a
Was
used car salesman.
he was a bit of a con artist too, right?
Well, I mean, he was lucky. George Martin suggested that they go to him with the publishing rights right away. So he just it fell in his lap, and he kept 50% of it, right? So that was so he kind of took advantage of them, I would think. But
yeah,
yes, they will.
Old is okay. Welcome, Sam. Glad you are a Nick Lowe fan.
I am. Thank you.
When Let It Be was released, the band had broken up. Hogg was selling the breakup, thus the slant. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right, Evan.
I think John sums it up pretty good when he said he's at his best when his back's to the wall. Goofing around for a month in the studio, wasting time, but boy, how good they were live.
Yeah.
Just
listen. I mean, they know how to play. They've been playing with each other since they were 14, 15 years old. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, listen to the Hollywood Bowl live album, and that's when Ringo was talking about. And he's told the story a million times how he would just watch them move their heads, and they were still a tight unit, even though they couldn't hear each other. So I mean, as bad as they might sound in the studio, messing around, they can pull it off in the end.
Yeah, they were a team.
Yeah.
The late Larry Graves. I've heard that. When the Beatles started making psychedelic music, were there people saying they missed the old? Oh, yeah. Was it too weird for some people?
I think it definitely was. Yeah.
Well, that guy, that audience member talks about that at the end when they were interviewing people on the street. He said, "I like the old Beatles." He said he doesn't like them now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, Bob. Perfect. I think I saw you at the popcorn counter.
Yeah,
Glenn John's in motion.
Yeah, it was cool. Cool to see everybody.
Yeah. He was a cool looking dude.
And now cool. Evans, he looked like a really nice, he was a nice guy in there.
And I don't think they did enough job of
credit
identifying people.
Yeah.
Like they would say Glenn Johns. Well, that was fine. You got to know him. But there were some other people in the background that they maybe put their names on once. And then, but they were in the whole movie. And you're going, I can't remember who that guy was again. Wasn't there a few you were going, who's that guy?
Oh, there was one time they did it and they put the text up against the white wall and you never even could see the guy's name.
Yeah.
Remember, I think it might have been the second episode. It might have been the third, the beginning of the third. But
and also there was a part I think it was in part 3, when they have John Lennon on the screen, they put John Lennon's name underneath, like, identifying, and then they did Yoko. Like I was going, what'd they do that for? But I could see them doing that at the start of the movie for people who maybe were interested in watching it who weren't Beatles fans. This was an introduction to the Beatles. Mm-hmm. It would be interesting to talk to somebody who was just intrigued with this as a history thing and they didn't know anything about the Beatles.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see Alan Parsons in a couple of shots. Like, so young, right? And he'd go on to sell millions of records like nobody there would know.
Yeah.
His future.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
Nick Strickler.
Good to see you, buddy.
Was there a myth that you believed in was busted during the series? Yeah. That they got along better than we thought they did.
Yeah.
And that Yoko wasn't as intrusive.
No.
Yeah. Oh, great. That's the funniest movie. The Party. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh. The first, it's 2 hours long. The first hour is the most hilarious movie you've ever seen in your life. Then it kind of goes overboard and it's not as funny. But I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance to see The Party, my God.
You guys are awesome. Watch you all the time. Oh, my heart. Thank you. Thank you, Richard. My dad, born in 1926, hated the Beatles, but he took me to Let It Be as a midnight movie in 1983. My dad was pretty annoyed to be taking his daughter to this, though. I thanked him.
Wow, very cool.
I wanted to mention in episode 1 when George leaves and you see the close up and he looks so depressed and almost in tears, right?
Yeah.
It is so sad. But I think I was reading that at that time, I think he was having marriage problems. And supposedly the night before, Patty had left.
I'm reading this book by Philip Norman on Paul McCartney, and that's I'm just at the part where I'm watching this. They're going through the Let It Be thing, and he mentioned that Patty had left him the night before.
Because that's one thing people don't realize when you see them. You see George in a bad mood or grumpy. It might not be all Beatles related. Right?
Yeah, they're all human beings too. We all have our issues, right? Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of issues, Glenn.
I know. I like laying down on your couch and discussing them with you, Larry. You help me
with our little cuddles.
I should leave now.
So it was also like the first part when they came in, the moods were just horrible, right?
Yeah,
and you could tell George already. Like, I think from the first minute he walked in there, he was ready to blow.
And he's saying, you're recording us talking. Like, he didn't like that.
Yeah, he didn't like anything. No. And he was completely out of it. Like, he just wanted no part of the Beatles at that point. He supposedly, that's when he just got back from America and was spending time in Woodstock with Bob Dylan and the band. Having a great time. And they're all, like, probably really laid back and everything's fun. And
there's
all
together. Paul bossy.
And then he gets back into that nonsense, and it's just
work.
Like he's just ready to just go, and that's that really set the whole mood for that whole first week or whatever it was. It was horrid.
Here's something that I kept thinking about too, being the youth here, if you will. The Beatles. I'm sorry. The Beatles.
Sam just turned 53, Larry. He's not that much younger.
I am, yeah. The skincare routine, I'll tell you about off camera. I'm selling some products. The Beatles, when they broke up, so John and Ringo were, by the time the Beatles broke up, about this, and Let It Be, they're 28 years old. So they're just not even a full year older than I am. And they'd already been the Beatles. And I'm 27 myself, and I'm thinking, what have I done?
Yeah, they lived a lifetime in.
I could have been a Beatle.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. You're right.
Because you think of them as just these old men, but growing up with the Beatles, you think like, oh, they were so old, but they really weren't, because they were just so ragged with their life.
But wisdom, they were old men.
Oh my word!
How wise they were. Yeah,
the movies and the touring.
Jeff Rowland. I absolutely loved how the concert was practically cut together as a comedy. Officer Kid and Officer Filmmaker had me rolling. Yeah.
And you could tell those officers, when they came into the studios, they were young too, so they probably liked the Beatles, and they kind of have to do their job, but they weren't pushy at all.
No, and you could tell that people, the secretary and whoever else was greeting them at the door were kind of throwing them off the scent there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And even Mal Evans, he's like, we've got it through a PA. I can,
Yeah, we'll turn it down. Yeah.
They didn't fully care. They were getting their orders, and they had to do it.
And that famous part where Paul and George gets mad at Paul, right? And he says, "I'll do what you want," whatever he said, right? That's extended, and it's more. You can see more of Paul being fed up, and he gets up at one time and walks away, and it wasn't that big of a, overall. It was
no, but
And something else that struck me too, and I was sure to kind of put it in my mental notes, was that when I think it was it Glenn or was it Ringo who was asking Paul about strings on the Long and Winding Road. And Paul said, I don't know, maybe. Yeah. Which, of course, that was like the big topic of contention, when Let It Be finally was released, and then Let It Be Naked came out in the early 2000s. But that might have always been in his mind, and Spector might have just taken ideas that were written that I'll go ahead and add these strings that he might have mentioned one or two times in the studio.
Yeah, but I think he was more thinking in the terms of what they did with Eleanor Rigby rather than what they did, like a string quartet. Or
and the singers and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the singers were a little put it over the edge,
over
I'm
the
sure.
top.
Yeah, he had like 20. I forget what Phil Spector used. It was ridiculous. Full orchestra. And,
Well, that's Phil Spector. Yeah. That's classic.
Yeah.
But that is one of my least favorite Paul McCartney. Are you okay, Glenn?
My nose is itchy, Larry, and I didn't want to get any on you.
I hope that was your nose.
Yeah. I'm telling you. This Coke habit, man, I got to do something with it.
I thought that was Pepsi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Pep. I'm allergic
The Long
to
and
Pepsi.
Winding Road is one of my, I still, really like it or maybe love it, but it's one of my least favorite Beatles songs because it does kind of drag. And even I think somebody was mentioning about it dragging or.
I really love the song. I think it's a beautiful song. And I love when Paul does it live. Like he kind of changed the vocal style a little bit when he does it live. I think it sounds great. Just its inflections in certain parts and that. But
how did people react when John Lennon released Strawberry Fields?
I think people loved it, no?
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's considered his masterpiece by many.
Have you seen the clip from American Bandstand from 1967? And they play the Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields, and then Dick Clark interviews the kids, right? And some liked it, but some said they're weird. And
yeah, well, you couldn't dance to it.
Yeah, hard to dance.
American Bandstand, you had to dance to it.
Yeah.
Debbie, the receptionist, needs to be thrown a worldwide parade for her stalling skills. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
Janice.
Read it, Glenn.
Dennis and Michael seem to have little to no idea of what they were doing, to be honest. Haha. What a messy production. Fascinating to see it unfold.
Yeah. There was just no plan.
No.
But to credit Michael, though, I mean, again, we got to take this footage that we've seen. He's responsible for that footage. So, I mean, it is.
Yeah, excellent footage.
It's excellent.
And the Beatles, he didn't have very cooperative stars.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be there. They were miserable. They wouldn't give him any answers on where it was going, what direction they wanted to take it. I mean, it was just,
Yeah. After the Beatles breakup, what became the new sound? I know rock started sounding heavier with bands like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. Well, I think after the Beatles, it was kind of like Led Zeppelin, right?
Well, in the rock thing with that, but also the singer-songwriter thing started to happen at LA too, right? Yeah. James Taylor and Carole King and Jackson Browne and the Eagles and all that stuff started to Crosby, Stills and Nash.
You've also got to think too, like moving into Abbey Road. I mean, the song like "I Want You," that's starting to that's the Beatles kind of trying to compete a little bit with those. Get those guys' first albums, Zeppelin and early Sabbath. I mean, I don't think they cross over with Sabbath at all. I think Sabbath was purely the 70s, but that first Zeppelin album especially.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the Beatles' answer, I guess, to heavy metal.
I'm a glutton for gluten.
A gluten glutton.
I'm gluten-free, Glenn. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
Revolver, The Beatles, Abbey Road, or Sgt. Pepper's? Which two albums would you choose?
Two?
Glenn, go.
Peppers and the White Album.
There you go.
Yeah. Sam.
Well, Abbey Road's my second favorite album ever, and so I'll pick Abbey Road, and then I would say Pepper.
Yeah. What's your favorite album?
Pet Sounds, which I know is a topic of contention with Glenn, but
I've never heard of it.
Are you a fan of Pet Sounds, Glenn?
I think it's a fine album. I just think it's not a masterpiece.
So is it overrated?
There's not enough good songs on it, Larry.
Is it overrated, Glenn?
I think it's overrated in the fact that I don't think the whole album is a masterpiece.
Glenn, you just lost some subscribers.
I think 60 to 70% is incredible, and the rest is a lot of filler.
Yeah. Like a hot dog.
Like a hot dog, yeah.
For me, it would
But
be.
if you get an all beef wiener, so Pet Sounds is just a regular hot dog. It's not an all beef.
For me, it would be the White Album and Abbey Road. Glam rock was next in the UK.
Yeah, that's true.
T-Rex and
Yeah.
hey, look, T-Rex.
Are they a sponsor?
Yeah. Patty was threatening to leave over some accused affairs, but obviously they didn't have personal stuff filmed for context. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was your favorite? I asked you before we went live, Glenn, but you can say it again. What was your favorite moment in the whole series?
I was really interested when they had the hidden microphone when Paul and John were talking about George and about, kind of who was the boss, and Paul's going, well, John, you're the boss. And I just found that conversation really interesting because they don't know they were being recorded. So that was kind of the part where I went, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Sam?
I think it was 2 parts, but they go together. The first being the very moment that we start seeing the genesis of the Get Back song when Paul is
That was
strumming it
amazing
on the bass.
Yeah.
You see him creating it,
and then along those same lines, when George, he's talking about a science fiction movie that he had seen on the BBC, and he said, while I was watching it, I wrote this song, and then he sings "I Me Mine."
Yeah.
That was it was so cool to see those songs the very first time ever.
Yeah.
Just a fragment of it.
Yeah.
That blew my mind, especially the Get Back on the bass.
Yeah.
For me, it was a surprise when they started the rooftop concert, and I think the first song was Get Back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a moment when John and Paul are they're right into it, right? And it's like it's very early in the song and they jump up or whatever. I started to cry, like get emotional. It just hit me. It was a nice moment. Yeah.
They really did seem that they were all having a good time from what I can tell.
Even George.
George.
Like when John flubbed that line in whatever song it was, you could see
Don't Let
George
Me Down.
laughing.
Yeah.
About it, right?
Yeah.
It's too bad that George didn't have a song like Old Brown Shoe or something to play.
Well, it did. There was a part in there where he just written Old Brown Shoe and came into the studio with it, right?
And he was on
piano.
On
the rooftop.
On the roof.
Yeah.
Well, didn't he mention that he didn't want to do any of the songs because he
didn't even want to go on the roof. He even waited to the last minute. He was going, I don't want to.
I'll stay downstairs.
Yeah. He was done.
Yeah. But I think he enjoyed it,
Oh, yeah. He was smiling.
Yeah.
Oh, that is in Patty Boyd's book. He had multiple affairs. George Harrison. I don't believe it.
And another girl living in his house.
In his house, I believe.
Wow.
Glenn,
the house was so big you could have another girl living
never
in it.
become a rock star, Glenn. I told you that.
I wouldn't. I couldn't take it.
Paul always was the leader musically, yeah. But after 5 years, John and George were more his equals. Paul was just doing what he always had done, yeah. Like Paul comes off, did you hear that? Paul comes off really well, right? Overall, he wasn't that bossy.
Mm-mm.
There was one time when he's talking to John and John's playing a bit of guitar and he tells him to stop playing. Like,
yeah. But don't forget, Paul was the most passionate about keeping the Beatles together. He was still a Beatle, and the other guys were slowly getting to a point where it's time to move on. It's coming to an end, and Paul didn't. He was the last guy who wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, Paul held the pop nature of the group. I mean, he was the one with the melody. He's still the guy with the melodies. I mean, he knew what he wanted in his head, and it just got, as George especially became more independent, he was thinking, you might have this idea for the melody, but that's not how I hear it. So but Paul he knew how to craft a hit.
It was funny too when they're working on Maxwell's Silver Hammer and he says to Mal to get an anvil, and the look on Mel's face, it's like, okay, I got to go get an anvil.
Yeah.
Which kind of,
Yeah.
I guess we should move from that point, because it's funny with that in mind. It's funny they said that's Mal's instrument over there, and they showed the anvil. But I guess we should talk about for a minute Billy Preston, just what kind of weight was lifted when he walked into the room. Just
it seemed they were getting along much better before he arrived in part 2, but once he's such an amazing, just
he's such an incredible
right
musician
away.
too.
He was helping them. It says,
like Sam, I know you're in a band. I've been in bands before. I'm not sure, Larry, if you
I've
have
been in
with Phil McCracken, but
he has an album.
When someone comes in to jam with you or something, and they're really like, almost better than you, it lifts everything up, right? Like amazing, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, listen to like what he did with "Don't Let Me Down" and some of the, like, as soon as he starts playing, it's just like, I've got. I mean, these songs just
it just sounded so much better with
it's like oxygen was just thrown into the room.
To go back to Larry's question earlier about favorite parts, but I just forgot until now, was they're talking, we should get, Nicky Hopkins is the guy they kept talking about, trying to get him to come play piano. But it's funny because Billy's there to film a special. He's just in to say hello because he knew them from Hamburg. Because he used to back Little Richard, and they saw him with Little Richard and all that good stuff. But when he's actually gone for most of the day to film the special that he's there to film, and they're kind of talking like, we never really asked him to join the group. Like, we should pay him, like, we should give him some session rates. And then he shows up and they say, Billy, are you okay with this? He said, oh yeah, it's a groove.
If they would have if they would have continued for 10 more years, Billy Preston would have been a Beatle.
Can you imagine? Like, compare that, like the Beatles with like the Stones doing Sticky Fingers, like with Preston on it. It would have been great.
After all we'd been through in the past hours, the magic of the rooftop performance was particularly tear-jerking. It was like a build up to that, right? And it's like, okay, it's finally they're doing it.
Can you imagine though if they would have went to those ancient ruins or whatever in Greece where they were doing it and done a concert or at a big hall?
I think the cavern would have been the best.
The cavern,
Cavern would have been really cool.
It's really a shame that we never got that. But
did any of you shed tears during this film? Well, I just mentioned that I did at the start of the rooftop when they were doing Get Back. Unexpectedly, right? Just the emotions came. Glenn.
Well, I had an old friend come over to watch it with me, and he drank all my beer. So I got a little...
You're crying about that.
I was on the front. Once I went to the fridge and got a beer and there was none left, I got a little sad.
I was going to say, just from like falling off the couch, because I kind of dozed off at a point.
Stubbed your toe.
But no, I didn't shed any emotional tears. But probably the most emotional part, probably for a lot of people, was seeing Paul, the zoom in on his face, not knowing if George was going to come back.
And the other one that got me to tears when Yoko was singing. Sam, believe it or not, I'm actually a fan of Yoko Ono's music. Not all of it. Like Glenn, I lent you her double album, Approximately Infinite Universe, actual songs, and she was
actually singing. So it wasn't so. I don't mind her when she's just singing like trying to sing, but that wailing, I can't. I can't do that.
Now, did you prefer her jams or Heather's jam?
Heather did a great job.
And
that's funny because John goes Yoko, like
I love the Beatles themselves, their YouTube channels. They've been putting out little clips from the thing, and say turn on one yesterday. Goes, this is the clip they're going to show to get people to watch this. Heather combs Paul's hair.
Wow.
That's going to get me to watch.
It was funny too when John was talking to Heather about the cat and eating it and everything.
Vanilla Fudge's version of Ticket to Ride is awesome. I like Vanilla Fudge. They did a couple of Beatles songs.
Glenn, you read. I'm tired.
It was cool to see the brainstorm constantly happening with different things coming up for more serious consideration, comma, while others went by the wayside, and some were just shite on depending the day.
Yeah.
Shite on.
It was all a mess.
Depending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the Beatles ate anything other than toast in their recording
I noticed
time?
that too. That was a lot of friggin'
maybe
toast.
order a pizza once in a while.
That's what I was thinking. You were talking about John being so skinny, but they put away half
so
a
many
loaf of
carbs.
bread. Yeah. And the alcohol and bread, good grief.
Yeah. How did he stay so skinny? Bob Burrows.
Those are his two. Okay.
On a serious note, terrific doc, and Peter did an amazing job. Yes, he sure did.
He'll be up for every award next Oscar for documentary and all that.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. And there's some great interview if anybody's interested in seeing them. There's some. He's been making the rounds. Peter Jackson has done some great interviews. So,
Glenn Johns.
Is there a damper on your tom-tom? Yeah,
Lennon. The only damper around here is you, Glenn Johns.
That was good.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about Ringo for a minute. That guy wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful of it, would he? Like, did you notice he just goes along with everything?
I think that's just a drummer for you.
He was the glue of the Beatles.
Oh,
right.
You wonder why they all like no one had
but
a
he
problem
did
with
fart.
Ringo.
Glenn, he did fart.
Oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. I go, Ringo, man, that guy would just go along. He was just sitting there sleeping most of the time, waiting for his turn.
Well, see, that's the thing. A good drummer like Ringo, he just needs a good rhythm, and he can fill right in there. So that's all he needed.
Oh, he was just classic. It was awesome.
He does seem like a great guy, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
When rap music first started, did you guys know it would become as big as it is now? Yeah.
No, I had no idea it would, honestly.
Bob Dylan knew.
Bob Dylan knew.
Well, he was the first rapper.
Yeah.
Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Brian Wilson's smile. You like that cat?
He smiles nice.
Pet Sounds has filler. I know that's what Glenn Kellaway from the Basement said.
What's SMH mean?
Shake my head.
Shake my head.
Yeah, sorry. That's just my,
Unsubscribe from Glenn Kellaway from the Basement.
Yeah. I'm controversial. What can I say? I'm no Ringo. Then the Doobies, Steely Dan, Little Feat, the Almonds, A Brilliant Time. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, the early part of the 70s, right up until disco, and then it just. The jam of John and Billy with their ad libs from. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome.
My favorite moment was when George says, "I'll play or I won't play. I'll do whatever pleases you." This was a story my father told me all the time, so I really appreciated seeing it. Yeah. That's pretty well known, but I like the extended scene, and it's really Paul that's more angry than George is.
It'd be interesting to know how many of the people out there watching everything have seen Let It Be before they saw this. I think you get a totally different viewpoint of both if you've seen it.
I love the ending of part one where they played that demo of "Isn't It a Pity" after George left.
Yeah,
that was very well done as well. I watched the credits every night.
Yeah, that was excellent. Yeah. What did you guys think of the start of it? Were you surprised when they interjected a bit of historical perspective?
Yeah, it was nice. I thought it would go right to the studio.
I did too.
Yeah. I was surprised at that.
It was the right thing to do.
The assumption was going to be that we were going into just get back, but he gave a little 11-minute dialogue there.
Yeah.
Seeing Paul play slide on that tiny guitar to George's tune, like in Let It Be when John plays slide to George's other tune. And it was nice to see them all helping each other with their songs.
Yeah.
That was so great to see, because I know one of the things too was talking about All Things Must Pass. John gives that little tidbit to George about All Things Must Pass, and he keeps it on the album version. So it's amazing how many people threw in their 2 cents. Glenn John said something, and I'm sure George Martin said a few things, not on this movie, but they were all collaborative.
Yeah. Lee Santa, they could have done a fantastic version of For You Blue on the Rooftop.
Yeah.
George was sensible, not done. Who wants to go play outside on a windy roof at the end of January when you're a rock star? Yeah. Billy Preston added such a great dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Went on
And
to
went on to give the Stones.
greatest
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Glenn, read this.
How come what am I, like the biographer?
You Pet Sounds
think
hater.
Pet Sounds is revolutionary production-wise with a couple of great songs on it, like God Only Knows, but overall don't think it's a great album
Ooh.
song-wise. Bob, how dare you?
No, Bob's in trouble.
SHM, Bob. SHM.
Jeff Rowland. Larry, how
Or
long have you and Glenn known each other?
SMH.
Too long.
Larry and I go back a long ways. I think we met a year and a half ago at a grocery store, and then we never spoke again
Well,
for
remember,
a year.
I ran away when you said, Larry.
Yeah, I
Canadian
asked him for his
Studmuffin.
autograph, and
It's like the Dan Fogelberg song.
he told me to get lost.
Same Auld Lang Syne.
So really, we started hanging out like, I don't know, what, about
6
months ago or something like that. And Larry, you've become one of my best friends, honestly, sincerely. I want to say
Stop it, Glenn.
The question is, did you just invite yourself over, though?
He is one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Sincerely.
Thank you, Glenn. You're in my top 10 friends list.
Well, that's good. Yeah. You're my second favorite friend. Oh, who's first? All the others are tied for number one.
Yeah.
It's sad the disorganization for the Beatles, left to their own devices and choices, and they decide to freeze on the roof. Sometimes you need guiding figures.
Yeah, they missed a Brian Epstein. They really did. After he went, it's just directionless almost. And
I read that after the rooftop concert just recently, that George Martin said it was SHIT or crap or whatever.
Yeah, well. He wasn't happy with what was going on in those Let It Be times. They redeemed themselves to him with the Abbey Road sessions.
Yeah.
But during that time, he was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad how little John contributes. It makes me wish we had a 1966 era documentary as well. Oh, I thought he did. He was pretty into it and helped him.
Yeah.
There were just a couple of days where Paul asked him if he had any songs, and he said no.
Poor Paul. You got to feel for him in a way, right?
Yeah.
But like you guys said earlier, about George, I mean, John had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life too, with the recent split from his wife, and then him and Yoko kind of just starting to get things, and the way that Yoko was. I mean, she was just treated like crap by the media,
with the press,
by fans, I mean that had to be just really hurtful and tough to deal with. So, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, the doc made me feel bad for George in the grander scheme. So talented, but not included, and trying to match the Len. Yeah, especially part one. It's like he's just a session player.
Yeah.
But let's give George credit, because he is a strong personality. Because who else could you think of that you've ever known in your own personal life? Who could have had the strength to try and compete with those guys? I mean, Lennon and McCartney, and you're the third wheel trying to, and he did it,
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to actually see him. Well, I'll be leaving now and quitting the Beatles. Like, just
see you around the clubs.
That's too bad that wasn't included for the video. But
it was cemented for me that after this documentary that George was truly the coolest Beatle.
Yeah.
He just had a coolness around him.
Yeah. That's probably because of his religious thing with the Indian, practicing the Indian religions and stuff like that. He was just, he was. Yeah.
That's another thing that was interesting. He had the Hare Krishna friend, which again kind of goes with the Yoko thing.
And did you hear Ringo say
that was freaking funny?
Ringo said he didn't like.
He's a little old man. Yeah.
Right.
He's very clean.
Yeah, he's very clean. They used the Hard Day's Night joke. Yeah,
that was so cool.
But that when somebody asked Ringo about them, and he said he didn't like them.
Yeah. Well, they probably freak you out if you're sitting there looking over and you see these two guys. They're not saying a word, and they're just like,
But John actually
Roberts.
wrote more of the Beatles songs than Paul did. Paul did not know how to write a song for sure. He had more #1 hits than Paul did know how to write a song for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where there's some jealousy with John, with Paul. Yeah. Don't underestimate the filler tracks on Pet Sounds, Glenn.
Oh man, I'm getting blasted.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
I love Pet Sounds, by the way. I just want to say it's great.
Although Lee must understand the songs I'm talking about because he calls them filler tracks. Well, he's quoting me, but he must know what songs are filler tracks.
On our next Glenn, on our next CD exchange, I'm going to give you Pet Sounds. So
I have Pet Sounds.
I know,
Larry,
but
I have like
you're
3
forced to
versions of
listen
Pet Sounds.
to it.
I've got a vinyl copy. I've got 2 CD copies. It's I'm more than familiar with Pet Sounds. That appeals sometimes characters featuring so much of Paul getting good back here. Yeah, I could watch Paul at the piano all day too. Yeah, he's just an amazing musician. I'm not saying the other 3 aren't, but Paul's just in a world of his own when it comes to. I mean, he was just born.
He's the best musician out of them. I mean, there's no question.
Yes,
he's the greatest.
Yeah, but I get a lot of when I did a video kind of comparing the John and Paul solos of the careers of the 70s. Man, I got a lot of pushback that no, Paul's crap and John's, but just musically, Paul is like far superior than most rock musicians, not just John Lennon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you put Paul's musical talents with any like the major musicians, whether it be Hendrix or Eric Clapton or
I don't care who it is,
Elton John, whoever it is, yeah.
And even when he's just messing around, his vocals are so amazing. Like he's not even trying, right? Mm-hmm. And you even see a little snippet of "Backseat of My Car," which is one of my favorite songs of his.
And when there's a harmony, like he just hits it, right? And John has kind of got to find it, right? And then you hear Paul a couple times going, "No, it's this one here. It's this, you got to hit this note." It's like he's a natural.
Yeah. PJ Vandelay. Here's a question. What's another band you would love to see this kind of doc with? The Who, Stones?
PJ, are you a relative of Art Vandelay, the architect? That's a Seinfeld joke, Larry. I don't know if you want to.
No, but look here, Glenn. I'm sure Larry would love a Sparks one. Well, just one second.
Here's a question. What's another band you would love to see this kind of doc with? That is a great question, PJ. I love that.
Sparks do have a documentary by Edgar Wright, the famous director. So, besides that, for me, for a documentary, maybe Captain Beefheart.
Who you'd like to see in the studio, like creating like that?
Tom Waits.
Yeah, just as an individual, Tom
Waits. Because a lot of these guys have these documentaries out.
Oh, this kind of doc. Okay.
Imagine if it would have been if the band and Dylan had filmed the basement tapes. That would have been
top. Yeah.
So my answer would be Sparks in the studio.
Yeah, to see creative process like that. But the Who is not a bad one because imagine Pete Townsend kind of coming in with these, with Quadrophenia and Tommy and.
With the Who, it would mostly just be a Pete Townsend documentary.
Yeah. That's a great question. Love that question.
Oh,
I teared up looking.
That happens.
Turn your camera
happens.
off,
My wife does that all the time.
Yeah.
Seen Paul said period expressions.
I agree too.
And then there were 2. It choked me up. Yeah. Crying's overrated.
Cry baby cry.
Cry baby cry.
What is Sam's channel?
Sam, tell us about your channel.
Again, yes.
Yes.
Well, it's the Sam St. John channel. I believe there's a link below the live stream here. I enjoy, like we've talked about this before, but I've done some videos with Glenn. If you're already subscribed to Glenn, you might have seen me over there. We talk about Bob Dylan. He's one of our threads between the 2 of us. John Prine. I love the Beatles. Van Morrison. More acoustic kind of music, but I love, stuff like the Beatles. Again, I love Tom Petty. So yeah, if you want to check me out, it's Sam St. John here on YouTube.
Check him out. He's got a great
Yep.
channel. Great guy, very knowledgeable. Hello,
Glenn,
darlings.
it's the real Aunt Mimi.
It's Aunt Mimi.
Wow.
That is awesome.
She has all the gold records, according to John.
Yeah. Preston's picture in the middle on album cover, I meant. There isn't a puddle. Did we miss the first comment from her?
I don't know.
Should have been.
Oh. I agree with you, Glenn. Pet Sounds is not in my top 200 albums.
Glenn, you started something.
I did. I've started a controversy.
Steely Dan.
We haven't had this much controversy since we had the circumcision episode, Larry.
Gosh.
I knew that would be brought up.
Best American band, Steely Dan, wonderful. That's interesting. Who's the greatest American rock band?
Grand Funk, no, maybe Blue Oyster Cult or Grand Funk Railroad.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
I say the Grateful Dead, but the Byrds I would put up there too. There's
Glenn, read it.
I just saw some footage on YouTube of the visit from Peter Sellers. And there's a period there, so we pause. He was joking about marijuana strains and trading quips.
Okay.
Jackson's edit was really strange. Oh, that'd be cool to see the whole thing. That would be cool. Peter Sellers ended up dying of a heart attack at a pretty young age. I don't even think he was 50, at 50 yet, did he? He was pretty close to, like, around his 50 years old, sadly.
SHM, what's that mean?
Shum.
That's
Shum.
What is it? What was it again, Sam?
Glenn so mistakenly referred to as SMH. He said SHM.
What is it?
Again? Shake my head. It's SMH. Yeah.
Oh, Anthony's.
So Anthony's giving you a hard time.
Anthony, you can get him. Maybe you get a maraca sound going with it if you keep shaking it.
Yeah, take a Tylenol.
Yeah. God Only Knows is a great song. Beautiful song. Somewhat incomplete. Really? Yeah, I think it's a gorgeous song. One of the classics on that album for sure.
The Grill Is Mine.
Yeah. Now that's bad. Now, if I had to choose between that and Pet Sounds is the greatest album ever made. No doubt. They wrote One After Nine when they were really young. Yeah, like 15 years old.
They really loved performing those old songs like that.
Yeah. Okay, here's something that came up to me when I was thinking about it. Paul's got obviously an encyclopedic knowledge of hundreds of songs that him and John wrote that they just put aside. What about Paul making an album of all those songs?
That would be cool. An
Wouldn't
acoustic album. Just do an acoustic album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say is the One After 909, and I've mentioned this before, but that song has really come up in my list of Let It Be songs since the box set came out. It's just such a rocker. It's so good and it's so fun.
Song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And when Paul was performing it live for the first time when I saw him back in 2014, I think.
Oh, wow.
And that was really cool to see live. Yeah.
It's amazing they never put that on an album before Let It Be.
Oh, I know.
Now, what did you guys think of the ending, like the rooftop and I was kind of hoping they would show the clips for Two of Us and Let It Be, the studio. I'm hoping that's maybe in the Blu-ray edition if they do that. But that's my biggest negative against the thing, the way it ended. I thought, Jesus, we could have had that last day when they went into the studio and recorded those videos. Yeah. That would have been nice. Yeah.
Especially because this last episode, like we were talking earlier, the middle episode was almost 3 hours. I mean, adding another half hour to it would have been nothing. Because there's no rules. So I agree. I think it even if they did it during the credits to show the full clip of one of those press releases.
And the split screen, how did you feel about that?
The split screen at the end with the credits, or
the whole rooftop when they were
it was much like Let It Be, right? I mean, that's kind of the way it was like that too. So, is it possible that that's the way Peter Jackson received it to edit the new version? I don't know. Maybe it was done that way.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I know. I mean, he was trying to do his own thing with keeping it away from Let It Be. But but that kind of kept it a little too similar, I guess. Even though I haven't
Yeah.
I've seen clips, obviously, but
Yeah.
I personally, I do enjoy seeing the audience reaction and that sort of thing, especially when they're interviewing the older people who would have been born in like the early 1900s, saying that they like the music. I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
But I also get a kick out of the ones that are kind of
We're just grumpy. There was that one who said, they woke me up. They woke me up. And
the Beatles woke me up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's terrible. The Beatles woke me up to Let It Be.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, Aunt Mimi, I would like to see that, the whole Sellers part.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. I love battles.
Mm.
Yeah.
I forgot about the movie Ringo was doing after the recording. Have you guys seen it? Is it good?
Yes.
I remember seeing it, but
Yeah, I doubt it stood the test of time. It was quirky.
The only thing I remember is Badfinger's or Paul McCartney's "Come and Get It,"
Yeah,
which had such a Beatles vibe to it. I knew Paul had written it, right, but it was so Beatlesque. Badfinger at that stage were like sounding like the Beatles the most, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the Beatles were so involved with them too in the sessions.
Yeah, and Paul's demo is like that's the Badfinger.
It's exactly like
Now, I was reading this McCartney book. I'm reading a Philip Norman book, which actually is pretty good. But there talks about he wrote that song about Alan Klein, "Come and Get It."
Oh.
He was writing. Now, the movie centers around a bit about getting people, the Magic Christian, about getting people to do things for money. Kind of, there was people jumping in a pile of sewage for dollar bills, and so there's all kinds of wacky stuff. But Paul supposedly was somewhat inspired by Alan Klein saying that, I'll get you all this money, but it never really materialized.
Yeah. Now, right now, we have 92 viewers.
Wow.
Now, if 92 viewers subscribe to Glenn Calloway from the Basement and Sam St. John, they would have
we would have
Glenn at dropped down to 88.
Almost 90 subscribers.
Larry, if they all 92, we Sam and I would both have 93 viewers or subscribers. That would be great.
That's a big day. Yeah.
I think John's great sense of humor showed throughout. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
I love the part where he's talking to Paul's daughter Heather about the cat and eating it and everything. Sam, you have to read this one. It's your turn.
All right. My biggest take was my appreciation of the album increasing a bit. I'd now put it just ahead of my sixth favorite, Magical Mystery Tour. Then Abbey Road, Sgt. Pepper, White Album, and Revolver are the top four.
You know what? Let it be since the release of the box set and that it's kind of moved up in my thoughts of it too. I'm a bit I've always liked it, but I like it a lot more too. I appreciate it more.
Yeah.
I'll play whatever you want me to play, or I won't play if you don't want me to play. That argument was about the song The Two of Us.
Oh.
George would end up not appearing at all on The Two of Us.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Interesting.
Like time condensing? Yes, like time condensing. Right, Glenn?
Whatever he says.
Do you guys like Pink Floyd? Absolutely.
Yes.
Up to when Roger Waters left, like the final cut, I don't care for that much, but anything before that is awesome.
I like early Floyd better than I like from Piper to Metal.
108 viewers, Glenn. You're going to get 108 subscribers, and
please subscribe to Sam St. John.
No, that's you're pointing the wrong way, Glenn.
Yeah, I know, but when you put it up so people to watch it, my finger always seems to be pointing the opposite way, so I always go opposite. But
it hurts.
Yeah.
And Sam, what do you think of Pink Floyd?
What do I think of Pink Floyd? I have a few of their albums. They're not a group that I am drawn to necessarily. I really like Animals, which I think Glenn.
That's one that's my.
I can't get into it either.
Yeah,
I have a hard time with Animals.
Actually, I had a music professor in college turn me onto that album, and Dogs was the song that he mentioned. So I went back to my dorm and listened to Dogs, and then I went out and bought the album. So I'll tell you what album.
Sam, do you like Sparks?
I enjoy Making a Fire. I don't necessarily like the.
Silo, I have a question for you. Do you guys like Pink Floyd? So I went to see Nick Mason's Saucer Full of Secrets tour a year and a half ago or whatever that, just before COVID hit, and it was amazing. And the live album is one of the greatest things I've ever heard, Pink Floyd related. It's fantastic. I'm just wondering if you have it or have heard it. So just throwing it out there. Paulie Phila, oh my God, that Anthony guy is it Anthony who's defending Pet Sounds? He's gonna give us a SHM in capitals. It's coming any second.
Yoko came out looking good after this film. Yeah, she wasn't a nuisance at all, and
no, she was fine.
She was even jamming with
and they were having fun. They were having fun with that.
I mean, with Paul, Ringo, and
It was funny that when she was one of her jams, Heather did kind of look like her eyes kind of got big, like, what is happening? She was like, what is this noise?
They showed Linda and Yoko having like a very friendly conversation. But from what I read, Yoko and John thought Linda was very snobby, but Linda was actually, I mean, she was pretty new to the whole scene and she was very shy.
Yeah.
And her shyness was getting misconstrued as being uppity and thinking less of Yoko.
I guess she had a lot of things going against her. I mean, she had a lot of money. And she wasn't from the UK, so
but Yoko had a lot of money too. Yoko came from a rich Japanese family. She wasn't,
Paul equals similar to Mozart in many ways. Yeah,
Paul's still alive though.
Yeah, Mozart's not as
Paul is a human songsmith. Absolutely.
And Mozart loved meat. I think he was a meat eater.
He didn't post to Twitter about meat.
Yeah. Paul's a superhuman songsmith. Yes.
Yeah. He's the greatest.
He's one of them.
No, he's the greatest, Paul. Glenn. Okay. Who would be like Paul Simon, I think, is right up there as a songwriter. Who else?
Bob Dylan, Paul Simon.
Yeah.
They're the only two that I would put.
So would you
at that level?
Would you put Bob Dylan ahead of Paul McCartney?
Bob Dylan would put Paul McCartney ahead of himself.
Now, are we talking like pure melody, or are we talking like?
Yeah, that's right.
Because if that's the case, I mean, McCartney's going to beat Dylan. I mean, Dylan's not known for his melody.
But wordsmith, I mean, Dylan's got Paul beat by a million miles.
But see, that'll differ than songsmith.
Yeah.
Carole King might be up there. She's under the radar.
The documentary about Badfinger, I haven't seen it. I would love to see that.
That would be good.
That would be hard to watch. That would be sad.
REM.
Cool.
REM. I like her. You like REM,
Studio?
Glenn?
I do like REM, yeah.
Sam?
I do. Yeah.
Woodstock. I love that they did split screen. Yeah. The split screen in Woodstock certainly worked. REM is the best American band.
I love Automatic for the People. That's my favorite.
Yeah, great album. That's a good album.
With that being said, Jeff, you kind of have a Peter Buck look to you. You're kind of REM yourself. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, The Doors, absolutely one of my favorites. I think all of their albums with Jim Morrison were just excellent. Like,
they're a band I've never jumped into. I've never listened to a full Doors album.
Yeah, sadly, it ended too quickly.
Yeah.
That film was all just the songs George wrote and all the songs he compiled for all the past. That would have been more interesting. No, well, I don't think it would have been more interesting.
Do you mean the album or the documentary?
I don't think it would have been more interesting for the Get Back film, but it would certainly be interesting to see. It would have been interesting if George had more of an outlet to present those songs. But when you think about the songs I was thinking about this after. If you take all the songs from All Things Must Pass, how many of them are potential Beatle songs? Because they had a different feel to them. And maybe John and Paul and George would have turned them into Beatle songs. But even All Things Must Pass
I think
It
All
was nice
Things
to
Must
hear the
Pass would be a
harmonies.
great Beatles song.
Yeah,
I think it
Yeah.
could have been, yeah.
but you think like the Waiting on You All and songs like that could have been Beatles songs. Maybe it's hard to say.
I was gonna say, I think it was
I
neat.
taught Art how to be an architect. Good, he did. He is related.
Very nice.
Hey, thank you, PJ.
Thank you,
Glenn,
PJ.
Glenn's the man. Did you know that? Thanks, PJ.
That's the name of your album, isn't it, Glenn?
I'm the man.
What-
I wrote that
What
song.
wine are you drinking, Larry? It's just rumors that I'm drinking wine.
Yeah.
It's red wine. That's all I know. Merlot. That's
Glenn, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking
Talk about our drinks.
Coke Pepsi
Shake my
Zero
hand.
sugar.
Pepsi. And
Yeah.
I've got some
like that.
Arnold Palmer in this cup.
SMH. Shake my hand. That's what it means, Glenn.
Shake my hand or shake my head?
That's what he tells him it is.
Yeah. I always felt like Sloop John B was out of place. Yeah, but it's probably my favorite song on the album. But
What do you think,
I see why
Sam?
you would say it was out of place.
It is, I mean, that's without Sloop John B, there would have been no Pet Sounds because that's what Al Jardine brought as being the folky of the group. And then Brian said we could do a Beach Boys harmony with this. So without it, there would be no Pet Sounds. So I'm all for it. It was great to see Brian and Al do it live back in 2016.
They did it's a great song. They do a great version of it.
I mean, it goes back to back with God Only Knows. So like whenever I hear one, I've got to hear the other. So yeah.
Glenn,
It probably is out of place, but
Glenn, the next question is for you. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. No.
3, 2, 1.
Yes. I
have
told
one.
Larry my story.
And I don't
I
think
don't think
Sam
we can
has.
go on here. It's yes, I was. I had a love affair with LSD in the '60s. So
Until
we'll leave it
last
at that. Yeah.
the only acid now is in the soft drinks, the soda.
Yeah. Those times are long gone.
Would
And I still have my mind.
being serious for a minute, when you were on acid way back in the 60s, how would music sound?
Oh, if it was really strong acid, it was awful because it wouldn't sound like music. It sounded like when you got a turntable and you put your finger on it and you slow down the record and it goes.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
If you're playing, you almost want people to take it off because that's all you heard was. It just to a point it destroyed it. But if it depended on the acid, really, on the trip, each time was different.
And Sam, how much acid have you had in your life?
I've had a lot of candy and a lot of soft drinks.
Acid indigestion. He said.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Indigestion.
yeah.
I have to keep Tums on hand. I go really wild.
Glenn is the best. That's why he's in the middle.
Yeah. I'll send you the $5 after the show. The Dick Van Dykes. I didn't know there was a band called the Dick Van Dykes. That's awesome. One of my favorite TV shows. The Hamilton Band.
Huh?
Now, Hamilton, Ontario Band, Canada?
Yeah, I think that's what he
Road
means.
Warrior that used the riff of One After 9/9. It was about driving the 401. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. It's kind of a rocker the same way, yeah.
You guys know about the circumstances behind Mal Evans' death?
Yeah, sad.
I just read that, like I kind of remembered that there was something happened to him
in '76. I think it was just a few years later.
He seemed like such a mild-mannered guy, didn't he? Like
he was just having issues.
He had some dark struggles.
Well, can you imagine? He was with the Beatles from basically the start.
Yeah.
And all through that, and then all of a sudden,
totally trustworthy, right?
And they're calling him to do everything for him. Between him and Neil Aspinall, I don't think they could, buy their own toilet paper without those guys. And then all of a sudden, it's all gone and disintegrated. Did they feel kind of like what's my life? Like it's I don't have the paycheck anymore. I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah. Like Pete Best on the anthology. There's one, I don't think, no, it was Love Me Do, and he's so sloppy.
There's no recording of Pete Best doing One After 909, is there?
I don't know.
There is a version on anthology.
Oh, maybe
that's
it is.
I'd
have to listen to that again. I haven't heard that for so long.
Yeah. I've got the anthology, all three of them. I don't think I played them in like 15 years.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you think the anticipation measured when Anthology was coming out in 1996 versus the Get Back? Was your anticipation
level?
This
was more exciting.
Yeah.
Me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, see, I wasn't really. I was born in '94, so even with like the two, new songs from Anthology, you think this was still more?
I think this was probably more anticipated because, well, first of all, it was delayed for so long too because of COVID, right? They were going to put it on the show. I think it was supposed to come out like a year ago.
Same with the box set, yeah.
Yeah, and the box set was delayed,
I think
so there's more anticipation.
I think the internet makes it more exciting, right?
Yeah,
because you're talking about the Beatles fans more.
But Anthology was, I remember just when that was
and
coming on.
For the new Beatles song.
Yeah,
right?
And the song at the end of the first. Yeah, oh my God. People forgot that he was a gifted producer and not just a secretary. Produced No Matter What by Badfinger. Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
Did he play the anvil on that album? He's a great anvil player.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind being woken to the Beatles playing.
Good morning.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I was hoping to see when Ringo changed his original driving beat for Get Back into the Galloping Temple, but the film didn't show that moment, nor the moment I Me Mine got its bridge chorus. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, see, I Me Mine, that was the last song that they put overdubs on, was it not?
Yeah.
1970.
Yep.
So, who knows what was...
Without John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ringo was pretty cool. Yep.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. Solid as a rock. Yeah. That's just...
Speaking of, did you see that he has a master class coming out?
I saw that.
That's going to be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
81 years old.
Yeah. Didn't Badfinger play with George? Yes, they did.
Two members, I think, or no, the whole band maybe.
I think. At least
acoustic
the two guitarists.
guitars.
Yeah. Paul's most talented. George had the best solo. Right? Yeah, absolutely. That's the greatest Beatles solo album, in my opinion.
It definitely. For Glenn and I can speak for Larry. It definitely matches more our musical taste with like Americana and country and songwriter kind of records.
Yeah,
more than the others.
Yeah.
I would put Plastic Ono Band second.
Yeah.
Behind that as the second greatest solo.
But even
Yoko's version.
Sorry, go ahead. Sam, were you going to say something?
No, he said Yoko's version.
I think he likes Yoko's version is the second greatest Beatles solo.
Larry likes that.
Yeah, I do. Some of them. Even McCartney's first solo album has grown in stature. I like it more than I did when it came out.
Yeah, McCartney and Ram are fantastic. So to Glenn, I just subbed to Sam.
Go,
Robert,
and you have one new subscriber.
My first subscriber.
Yeah.
Hey, you should make a video now.
Hey, I should. Yeah, come on over. I'll turn these guys off. I'll come over to my channel now.
Yeah.
And I just unsubbed all three of you. Thank you,
Vinyl Richie. We love Richie.
Lots of sub jokes on this live stream.
George is playing bass notes and riffs in the lower register in a Telecaster. Yeah. Oh, okay.
What's funny about that?
Somebody said he didn't play on it.
Yeah, he's playing the boom, boom. But what's neat about that is they're talking about playing bass on that song, and George says something like, he's like, I can't sing and play bass, which I completely get.
Yeah, I can't do it. I play a bit of bass, and I couldn't do it either.
Yeah, I can't.
Who will be keeping their Disney Plus? I already have.
That's a great one.
I already had it.
Yeah.
I didn't have it, and I paid like $12 for the month or whatever. I'm going to watch it a couple more times, and then at the end of the month, probably turf it because there's nothing on there that I like other than that Beatles thing.
What's a Disney Plus subscription?
It was $11.99 for a month.
Yeah.
In Canada, anyway. One of the two best songwriters. Well, I won't argue with you. They're both amazing.
Can't stay on for long. How disappointing.
Yeah, we didn't even know you were on.
Yeah.
Bob Dylan, James Taylor, Brian Wilson is up there as some of the very best songwriters. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did, Aunt Mimi.
Or
And
peek through
Glenn,
somebody's window.
this comment is for you. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
3,
No.
2, 1.
Mozart. I knew what that was. Mozart.
Have you seen the Velvet Underground doc? I've started
No.
watching it. Yeah.
It's on another streaming service that
It's
I'd
on
have to pay
Crave
for.
that I have. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have Crave. Yeah.
Yeah.
$20 a month. Forget it.
Well, Glenn, when you're rich, right?
Yeah, that's true. When you got Larry money, it doesn't matter.
Ray Davies.
Oh, the poet laureate of the 60s.
The
Ray
Guess
Davies.
Who, one of the best bands ever.
Mm-hmm.
Supper. You're gonna choose Supper
Gotta
over
go.
us?
Bob.
So disappointing.
Bob. Can't you just heat it up in a microwave later? You're gonna miss all this.
Paul McCartney fight John. Yeah.
Wasn't that funny when they were reading the tabloids and they talked about
Yeah.
going fisticuffs with one another?
That was when Paul's reading from the paper in that voice, it was funny, right? But it just I thought it just went on a bit too long. That was the only time it was like, okay, like
but it's cool to watch that they got a kick out of the press because
But they kept
stuff
up
was
with
just made up a little bit. Like they knew what was the actual facts and what weren't. And they were reading it and they were kind of thought it was funny. You know?
Me and my mom watching Seinfeld now, but I want to do this. Yeah. No, come on.
Good.
Seriously, between Seinfeld and a live chat with us, come on.
Yeah. Watch Seinfeld or a show about nothing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like who's funnier, right, Glenn?
Yeah.
Bruce
Coburn. I love.
Don't
Bruce
say
Coburn.
it the other way, Glenn.
No, I won't.
Like I used to think it was.
Yeah.
Don't say Bruce Cockburn.
I won't. I want to chat. I'm wearing earphones now on my iPad. Perfect. Glad you're with us.
Top 5 songwriters, in my opinion. Pete Townsend, yeah.
Steve Harris? Who is Steve
He's
Harris?
from Iron Maiden.
Okay.
Paul Simon, David Bowie, and Billy Joel. Honorable mention, Neil Young. Yeah.
Top 5
I love
songwriters.
David Bowie. And Paul Simon. And Pete Townsend.
Paul Simon was one of the greatest concerts I ever went to. His Homeward Bound tour. Fantastic.
What
so my
year was
top
that?
5 songwriters would be Bob Dylan. Also, Lennon and McCartney, are they considered, like, do we ever consider them?
It's one entity.
Okay, so Lennon, McCartney, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, Jackson Brown.
Never heard of them.
And I don't know who the 5th would be. That would be a hard one. There's so many. Maybe
Ron Mayall of Parks.
John Prine.
Sam.
John Prine, Dylan, Lennon McCartney, Van Morrison, and I'd say Paul Simon as well.
Yeah. No, I love Van Morrison. I have quite a few of his CDs. But what do you think of his latest, Sam? I don't have it. The double.
The latest record project.
Yeah.
I have the T-shirt. Yeah.
Do you like?
It's good. I wouldn't say. I mean, I like his later catalog. It's probably out of his last 6 releases, it's the one I've listened to the least. Even though there's some great songs on there, but I think the reason I don't listen to it as much is because when I listen to an album, I want to listen to it all at once. So, like, to invest in that one, I would have to listen to both CDs at the same time, and I'm much more partial to the 3 Chords and the Truth, which was his album just before this one. Yeah. That's a top Van Morrison album for me, but it's got some great songs on it. The new one.
What's your 3 favorite Van Morrison albums?
Oh, we've done a video about this, haven't we, Glenn?
Mm-hmm. One of my answers would be the same.
You should subscribe. I think I watched that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, I'm trying to remember now. Tupelo Honey, and this is no particular order. Tupelo Honey, because they all change. maybe Astral Weeks and Hymns to the Silence. As of this very day, that's what they are. So it might be different than our video.
Astro Weeks is one of my top 5 albums of all time from anybody. So Astro Weeks, St. Dominic's Preview, and probably, I don't know, maybe Moondance or something. There's so many great ones.
When I think he stopped recording for a year or two, and he came back. Was it a period of transition?
Yeah,
that album.
Yeah. How is that?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it actually. That was kind of right after his big kind of 70s career, where all his most classic albums were all done kind of in a row, and then Period of Transition was kind of the next one after that. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that album.
That's one I've never listened to.
Yeah,
I haven't listened to it.
Yeah. Now, I love that Joel's mentioning Ray Charles, and John mentioned Ray Charles saying the best jazz ever, because I just absolutely love Ray Charles. He's my favorite singer of all time. So, incredible musician. That's a genius, Ray Charles.
Sydney, Nova Scotia. Monsoon
again tonight.
Will this Get Back doc be on Blu-ray? I can't get Disney Plus.
Yes, I'm sure it will.
I'm pretty sure it will be. And pretty soon, probably the latest would be like in January.
That sucks. You can't get Disney Plus in Cozumel.
Yeah.
You can't buy a Roku stick or something off of Amazon, have it shipped to you, and then order it through that. Derek Roberts, will this get duck Blu-ray? I can't get Disney Plus in Cozumel. Oh. I wish I was in Cozumel.
Anyway,
right now. We got like 6 inches of snow.
Anyway, the Get Back documentary isn't very good anyway, so you're not missing anything, right, Clem?
Yeah, we didn't. That was very disappointing. Yeah, don't worry about it. Pet Sounds is just listen to.
Don't
Pet
bring
Sounds.
that up again, Glenn.
But listen to Pet Sounds.
Yeah, don't let me down. That's a bit special. I'm drinking tea. Eric Clacton.
Now it's Santa.
Santacid.
If you take all George Harrison songs off of Revolver, would it still be the same great album that it is today? Your opinion? Yeah.
We can talk amongst ourselves.
Taxman.
Love You Too.
I mean, because they're all still great songs.
You Too, and what is that? The only 2? Is there
no?
3.
That's only 2 George Harrison songs on the album.
He has 3.
I Want to Tell You.
I Want to Tell You.
Okay. If
it was the first time with 3 songs.
I don't know, because Paul and John's songs on that album are pretty freaking strong. Like, I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time saying between Paul and John who had the strongest songs on that album, because they were both incredible. Tomorrow Never Knows and She Said, and Paul's For No One is probably my favorite McCartney song of all time.
Here, There, and Everywhere.
Here, There, and Everywhere is on there, and
Good Day,
Sunshine. Got to Get Into My Life. I mean, wow.
Tomorrow Never Knows.
What an album.
And Karina Harney is messaging me. I know it's her because she mentioned me on vid. Trying to multitasking. It's very hard. That's what she said.
Well, say hi to Karina for us. Mal was paid peanuts. That'd be interesting to know what he was paid. Aunt Mimi would know.
Billy Preston, 5th Beatle. Mal,
pretty close. I put him next behind. Well, he wasn't there long enough to be a
George Martin.
George Martin's the guy.
Yeah.
George Martin.
That's
Mal
true.
was the road manager for a band that didn't go on the road.
That's true.
Personal PA would be. Yeah. Is it coming out on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K?
I'm pretty sure it will be.
Yeah, probably all 3.
With a special introduction by Glenn.
Yes.
Yep.
Playing a righty kit. Lefty playing a righty kit.
Mm-hmm. Ringo.
Yeah.
No.
Which the actual album
Ringo,
titled
yeah.
Ringo? Yeah, that's a great record.
Yeah. Yoko singing Midsummer New York is incredible. I agree. I am a fan of.
What album's that on?
Fly.
Fly?
Yeah. It's got some weird stuff on it, but
yeah.
Yeah, like Midsummer in New York is just a good rocker.
Is there any talk? Because I haven't seen her in public. Is she? Do we know if she is?
I don't think she's doing well.
I don't think she's doing well. I think she's pretty feeble.
That's
She's, she was what, 9 years older than John?
Yeah, I think she's 88. Yeah.
Yeah, she's almost 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I love Jackson Get Back, but I wish it featured the January sessions working on George's Let It Down. Oh, I didn't know there was a session where the Beatles worked on that. That would be interesting to hear. Jump by Mac. I love it. Yeah. I'll sub to Sam. Done.
Damn.
Really, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Dub.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's probably
you get in trouble if you try to unsubscribe.
We're trapped for life with that.
You're going to jail.
It's like luggage. You can't get rid of it.
What's your guys' favorite films?
Hard Day's Night in Hell. And Get Back, yeah. Favorite films? Oh, I got some wacky ones.
My favorite is Goodfellas. I'll just say that.
Mm.
I like a lot of older movies. Godfather's my favorite movie, but I go back like watching Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein. The Marx Brothers movies. They're the things I can watch over and over and over again.
I would say It's a Wonderful Life is my all-time favorite movie, and it's the season for it. I love John Wayne. I love his movies, and Godfather is great too.
Bowie, Dylan, McCartney, those three surely have the greatest quality song catalogs. Though Bowie for me was the greatest collaborator ever. So who did Bowie collaborate with?
Queen.
No, the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger.
Not like he didn't have a
in terms of like his songwriter.
Yeah, he didn't have a partner that he wrote songs with, did he? I'm not as familiar with.
No.
We are underestimating female songwriters. There's a million amazing ones.
Yeah.
Kate Bush is fantastic. Absolutely. Yep. Sorry, we shouldn't be doing that.
I said earlier that
Joni Mitchell.
Carol
Mitchell is fantastic. Sam mentioned Carole King.
Stevie Nicks. She's got some great ones.
Amazing. I'm a big fan of a woman named Lydia Lovelace. You want to check her out? Kathleen Edwards, great Canadian singer-songwriter.
Just to get to know you guys a bit more, what was your first live show and best live show you've seen? My first live show was 1974. Glenn's going to be very jealous. He's heard this before.
I know.
It was Golden Earring opening up.
I don't care about that.
Golden Earring, Radar Love. It had just come out. They were awesome. It was Golden Earring at Massey Hall in Toronto, opening up for friggin' King Crimson.
I love King Crimson.
And my favorite live show was 2010, Paul McCartney, 9 rows back, center stage. And I got to meet the band backstage. Not Paul McCartney, but I did a video for Paul McCartney's guitarist. So I got free tickets.
What's so crazy about Paul's band, just even a few years ago, how they've been together longer than the Beatles.
And they're so good. So
yeah.
It's a great band. Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam. What was your first concert and your favorite concert?
My first true concert was Gordon Lightfoot with my parents. And actually, I'm seeing him again in February with my dad. If all goes right, we're supposed to see him in November, but Gordon Lightfoot fell and I think he hurt his wrist. So I think he's on the mend.
Well, Gord actually, so Massey Hall,
he was just there.
Halls, so it's just reopened after a 2-year renovation, and Gordon reopened it.
He got the key to the
3
city.
nights in a row. Key to the city, and so he's back. He's there.
God bless him.
To go. Yeah, 83 years old.
The best show. I've seen some great shows. Paul Simon's Homeward Bound tour was pretty daggone good, and then also the Zombies with Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone back in 2014 was a kill. That reintroduced me to some music that I knew nothing about. So I would say those are some top choices. All right, Glenn.
My first arena concert was 1960. April 67. I saw the Monkees at Maple Leaf Gardens, and their first Monkees tour. And then my favorite show ever is the Stones' Exile on Main Street tour in 1972 at Maple Leaf Gardens with Stevie Wonder as the opening act.
Were you on acid, Glenn?
No, neither of those. But I have had some experience. Led Zeppelin comes to mind.
Oh, I thought Paul did Backseat of My Car demo in Get Back.
He did.
Yeah.
He did a little
Yeah.
bit of it. Yeah, which is a great song. I love that freaking song.
Yeah, John Mellencamp. I like
John
him.
Mellencamp. Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Gardens.
Cat Stevens.
Cat Stevens is awesome. Yeah. Ethan Jones is a very big time producer. Yeah, he's done the
Oh.
Tom Jones. Tom Jones has made some pretty cool albums in the last few years. He's kind of reinvented himself like a Dylan kind of a thing with the voice. And
Yeah.
type
I
of
love
songs he does.
Elvis Costello.
Yeah, Elvis
Especially
is awesome.
the early years. Yeah.
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 Oh,
Yes.
yeah. There we
All
go.
of us. Yeah.
Zapple 100. If you're not a subscriber to Sam St. John, get over there. Sam is the Michael Nesmith.
I just saw him back in early October with Mickey.
Yeah.
Great show. Nez is the man.
I love his album, The Prison, that Glenn swapped with.
That's
me.
right.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. What's your favorite Michael Nesmith album, Sam? Would The Prison be up there, or?
I would say The Prison is probably top 5.
Yeah.
I really like the second National Band album. That's a really good, unique
Yeah.
album. And then also, and the hits keep on rolling. Is
That's
very
what I
good.
was going to say. It's really good. It's just
Yeah.
kind of acoustic guitar and what's the guy's name who played the pedal steel?
OJ,
Red
Roads. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
song
really
Keep
good.
On is probably my favorite solo Nez
Yeah.
song.
Yes, there
There
we
you go,
go. We got the Jerry. See
You
behind
forgot.
me there? Where is he? Hold on.
Enduring.
There he is.
He wasn't invited onto the stream.
Johnny Cash, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that? You bought the Johnny Cash? So Sam and I did this video on albums and stuff that people need to hear, and the Bear Sonic Journal series is a series of albums that were done live soundboards, and the most recent release is Johnny Cash, 1968, at the Carousel Ballroom in San Francisco.
It's
Wow.
very good.
I mentioned it to Sam, and he bought it. So
Yeah,
it's
without
good.
even listening to it, I bought it, and it's fantastic.
Really, I got to get it.
You do, and they have like a little bit where June Carter comes out, for about 5 songs. It's just like little 30-second clips of some Carter family songs.
Yeah.
But the band is just tight. He opens with Cocaine Blues and just kicks it off.
Well, when you think about it, this is 1968. This is the height of San Francisco psychedelic rock, and
also-
Johnny Cash showing up and playing in front of all these kids in 1968. They wouldn't be familiar with that stuff. It's
The Folsom Prison album just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
hey,
I'm glad
Robert.
to hear that.
Hey, it's Robert's on my
Robert!
turntable.
I know him.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got to have a live chat with him again sometime.
Yes, we
You're
do.
always welcome on the live chats, Robert,
Yes.
on my turntable.
You could call it 3 Canadians and a Yank.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Or
see it.
yanking on 3 Canadians.
Mm.
Van
Y'all can play with
Morrison.
that.
Yeah,
great album.
that's a good album. I almost bought that used today. I saw it, the vinyl.
I've thought that too early on. Brown Eyed
Mick-
Girl could have been an early Mick Jagger solo song.
Mick sings backup on Cleaning Windows.
That's
Yeah,
right. You
Morrison
told me
song.
that. Yeah.
A Fave Flick, Bubba Hotep. What? Am I reading that wrong?
Oh,
Yeah, Kate Bush is incredible. I was really late to the party with Kate Bush. There used to be a woman who had her YouTube channel, Shannon. Shannon's Talk Music. She doesn't have a channel anymore, but she turned me on to Kate Bush, and man, there's some great stuff. From the 60s. Yeah, I like folk rock for sure. Yeah.
The Byrds, Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Love and
Early Van.
Spoonful. Yeah. So many
Monkees,
great bands.
Glenn.
Yeah.
yeah, the Monkees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other bands from the 60s. I mean, all the British Invasion bands we were
The
all
Rolling
loved, right?
Stones, yeah.
Stones. Yeah.
The Who, the Kinks.
And, and then all the British blues kind of bands, Cream and Hendrix, and all that stuff.
Great show, guys. And I don't want to take all of
Thanks,
the credit
Robert.
Thank
because
you.
10% I give to Glenn and 10% to Sam
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
have helped.
That's the same 10% though.
Yeah. Larry can't walk on water. He does sink a little bit.
Hit the road, Jack. I think that's a sign the live chat's coming to an end soon.
I'm not sure. Aunt Mimi, that sounds kind of mean. John said you were a bit of a disciplinarian there. Most underrated modern songwriters is Stephen Merritt of the Magnificent Fields. I am not aware of them.
I think I've heard them on my Patreon page, and it was good. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
George.
Insane guitar player he was.
Guitar.
Yeah, he was a good guitar player. Have you seen Yuri on YouTube with one of the roadies for the Beatles who worked with them on the rooftop performance? Very interesting. No.
I'm sure that is good.
I wonder if it was that red-haired guy who kept running around all the time.
Did you notice how excited he was when they were finally on the roof and he was like listening as a fan?
Yeah. Who was that guy? Did you guys catch his name?
If you would have asked me earlier, I could have told you.
Man, he was probably like Mal Evans' assistant, right?
Yeah. He just made tea all day long, was hyped up on caffeine.
Yeah. I'm so tired in my life, Revolver Faves. Yeah. Well, I'm so tired is on the White Album.
Yeah.
In My Life was with Rubber Soul as well.
Yeah. Love the documentary. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Great.
I haven't watched your video. I know Robert has a video out about it.
Oh, did he? I haven't watched it yet either.
Yeah.
Everybody subscribe to Robert's on My Turntable.
Yes. Great channel. Awesome. Great guy. Yes. Let It Down was introduced by George to the group on January 2nd. They worked again on it on the 25th and 29th. Thanks, Gordon. That's interesting information. I didn't know that. Zardoz. That's a weird movie. Wasn't that Sean Connery?
That's
Mad World is fantastic. Jonathan Winters. Oh. Here's some of the Beatles, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon. Yeah, I won't argue with that.
Yeah.
Well, Elton John, but really wasn't. I mean, he was part of a team.
He's kind of like Brian Wilson. He did the music. Yeah.
Yeah. Alison Morissette has lived off one album her whole life, isn't she? And then she keeps regurgitating it. The new updated version of Jagged Little Pill. Here's Jagged Little Pill acoustically. Here's Jagged Little Pill with a jazz band.
We've smoothed out the pill a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not jagged anymore.
Yeah. A Christmas Story is great, Darren.
Sleeping. Yeah, great song. Thoughts on Steely Dan? I like Steely Dan.
Yeah, I never really.
I'm kind of indifferent. Yeah.
You know what I like? A really good Steely Dan album is the live one they did. It's called something Over America. Steely Dan Over America or Live in America or something. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just once, Robert.
Just once, yeah.
Yeah.
I just finished the third one today, so I'm fresh off of it.
And we're gonna watch it. I'll watch it again.
I think we're supposed to get snow flurries again tomorrow, which means I'm not leaving the house, and I'm gonna watch. I think I'm gonna watch the whole thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Prog rock.
Mine is Yes.
Yeah,
I love Yes.
King Crimson, Yes, and Jethro Tull. Yes, over
silent.
I don't do prog, so I'm indifferent.
Sam, you have to get into Yes.
You'd like Yes.
Into them.
You would.
I like a couple of their songs, like their more radio friendly stuff, but I haven't really dug into their.
Yeah, you should.
So I love John Anderson's voice. I mean, the man still has it.
Sam, what you have to do is take a lot of acid and then listen to Yes's Tales from Topographic Oceans.
Back to you on email about that.
I was always disappointed in Asia. I never got into. I have the albums and I didn't like it. I don't know why. It should have been better. Enough digression into who else was great. Let's talk about Get Back.
Yes, let's end talking about Get Back. So,
yes.
I know there's more comments here. There's a lot more comments. Glenn, you're popular.
We can stay on. I'm fine.
No, I got to go and eat, Glenn.
Oh, you can stay up till 9, Larry.
You can stay on
past
until
6:30.
Listen, Glenn, this is my channel.
What will
He's such
you
an
all
old man. He's going. He's got to
what
be
will
in
you
bed
be
by
listening
6.
to? I guess like in these weeks after Get Back, how do you think you're gonna go back into the Beatles catalog? Like, do you think you're gonna just regurgitate Let It Be over and over again, or do you think you're gonna?
No.
Well, like I said, immediately afterwards, I was motivated to listen to Abbey Road because of all the kind of songs they were working on that ended up on Abbey Road. So I put that on and rocked out to that.
Have you jumped into the Abbey Road box set as a result of that? Like to listen to some of those early demos?
I probably will. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
What I love is the White Album demos, like the
Escher
it is the
demos,
best.
right?
So much good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's amazing how many of these songs on those last 3 albums from the White Album on were demoed during each of those sessions. It's incredible. I mean, even like during the White Album, McCartney was singing Junk and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
These songs just had a long life before they were released.
Yeah, and even John. Well, that came out in the one of the John Lennon boxes, but "Give Me Some Truth." That they were already working on that. Him and Paul trying to figure out the right lyrics and
Child
stuff.
of Nature, right?
Child of Nature, which became Jealous Guy. Yeah.
Are you going to do? Are either of you going to do a review of the Get Back documentary on your channel?
There's so many out there, Larry. I don't think I am. I was really interested in having a discussion like this to kind of just their thoughts on it, but I don't think I'm going to do.
Well, I'm going to, Glenn.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad, and I will watch, Larry.
Yeah, indeed. I might dip my toe into a single video, but we'll see. I mean, there's, again, like Glenn said, there's so many out there. I was waiting on a lot of them to watch of folks that I subscribe to until after I finish the 3rd episode. So I'll probably be spending my evening catching up. I know Robert, we mentioned earlier, has one, and there are several out there I'd like to see. So
I didn't want to watch until after we did this chat. Actually, I've been avoiding everyone's, but so there's a lot of people that I follow that I'm interested.
I haven't seen anything really too negative, like little bits, maybe
personal choices. Yeah.
Is there a negative thing you can say? Is there a negative thing you can say about the?
I think just the ending.
Maybe the rooftop.
Hoping to have them doing Let It Be and the two of us seeing that complete. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for like the more casual fan might complain that it's too intricate and
I can see
depth, but for the diehards, it's what you want.
So both my daughters watched it. I mean, they're in their 30s and they grew up in a house listening to the Beatles, and they're both huge Beatle fans, but they don't have the same historical perspective that I would have. And after they watched it, they had a few questions, like especially why was George so pissed off, and if you're not, if you're familiar with their story to that extent, then you understand. But there's frustrations, but there are probably questions a lot of people had to watch it. I'd love to talk to someone who watched it just because they were curious and they didn't really know anything about the Beatles. It'd be really cool to get a perspective.
Funny. I have an uncle who I was telling him about this and texting him about it because he was a guitarist in college and majored in guitar, and he wants to have coffee with me sometimes because he said the Beatles never grabbed him musically. He just wants to know like my opinions on that. So I'm probably going to do that hopefully in the weeks to come. Have coffee with him and discuss the Beatles as a entity with him. So. And then he might jump on the documentary. Who knows?
Wow, Robert watched each episode twice already.
Yeah.
Wow. And he's not even retired.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the end of the live chat, Glenn.
Oh, Larry, I think because Larry wants to eat.
He wants to go on until midnight.
Larry, you're getting too fat anyway. Just stay on the air with us. We're having fun.
So anyway,
how many people are watching, Larry?
Subscribe to Sam, but don't subscribe to Glenn.
No, don't subscribe.
He doesn't like pet sounds.
Unsubscribe to Larry. Larry, how many people are watching right now?
64, Glenn. People are eating.
You're disappointing. 66 people, Larry.
Yeah. But maybe we can do another live chat this weekend and have Robert on the turntable on and Sam and right? No, it's Glenn. You're no longer allowed on my live chat, and I'm not giving you back the $20. So anyway,
You said it
one
was
more time.
refundable after I put up with you for 6 months. You told me I'd get the money back.
Yeah. So
I
one
hung
more
in there.
time, Sam, your overall thoughts on the documentary, and then just mention your channel. Here we go.
I will definitely be rewatching each episode, hopefully throughout this week, maybe next week, depending on what I have to do. But when it comes out on DVD, I'm going to purchase it. If there's any kind of soundtrack or anything, I'm going to get it. I loved it. I mean, I thought it was beautiful color. The shots were very intimate. The demos that we didn't get on the Let It Be box set were fantastic. A lot of it I didn't know about.
Can we bring this up? Oh, sorry. This is one major point I wanted to bring up is watching this film made me so disappointed in the box set, which before I watched it, absolutely loved.
Yeah.
I read an interview, I think it was Giles Martin and whoever else was involved in putting this box together, that there was nothing else they could have given us in this box. Most of it sounded like crap and everything. There was a ton of stuff they could have given us.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit disappointed in the box set after watching the movie. I would have loved all those rock and roll songs and everything in that box.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's a great film. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And I'm going to pick up on a lot of it when I rewatch it. But yeah, if you haven't subscribed, my channel name is Sam St. John. It's STJOHN, and then my name
And
is
your
Sam.
link is in this video in the description.
It is, and again, if you like old songwriters, that kind of music, Tom Petty, Van Morrison, the Beatles, that's what I like to talk about. I'm always with Glenn Kellaway, and yeah, I appreciate Larry having me on as his guest for this stream. I appreciate it.
$20, Sam.
It's coming your way, American.
Yes. And Glenn, your overall thoughts?
My overall thoughts. Incredible documentary. Couldn't keep my eyes off the screen. Like I said, I think I'm going to spend tomorrow just watching it. If I can tear myself away from Yellowstone on Amazon Prime. But yeah, no, it's just, it was incredible. If I have any negative things to say, they're so minute and don't matter. It was just incredible. More than I ever could have asked for.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I loved seeing John playing the Third Man theme. And
yeah,
I was impressed with John's playing. He is a pretty good guitarist, right?
Yeah.
He's a great rhythm player. Yeah. And a good lead player too.
Yeah. So thank you, Sam. Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks, Larry.
And
thanks, Sam.
Do you have any videos coming up?
No, but Sam and I do a thing we call the Sam and Glenn Show. We do probably every 2 weeks. We come up with a topic. Last week we did albums that we think people should hear that maybe don't get their love and recognition they deserve. And we've done things on our favorite Beatle albums and Dylan 80th birthday celebration, just a bunch of stuff. So and sometime probably next week or the week after, we'll have another one up. So the Sam and Glenn Show on Glenn Kellaway from the Basement.
Check it out.
I got $5, Glenn. I have to split it with you guys.
I get jealous.
Ken Domick Reaction Channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken. That's very nice of you.
Now I'll buy the pizza for sure now, Glenn.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. One last comment. The best one. Ringo. I farted. That was sitting like for 50 years, right? We never got to know that until
no, we didn't know that.
2021.
No. Yeah, I didn't know Beatles farted. I didn't know that. I never knew. I thought they never did that.
So thanks, guys, and I hope you get some subscribers. And this was fun.
It really was.
Sam's going to say
the time flew by.
Sam's going to say after the live chat, I'm never going on his live chat again.
Yeah, he's done. He's scarred for life now. Young man, we've scarred a young man.
My life is over.
So, yeah. And thanks everybody that left comments. I'm sorry I didn't catch everybody's, but I gotta go at least. I know Glenn could stay on. I could actually just turn myself off and you two keep chatting for a couple hours.
No, I'm gonna go eat too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks,
Thank
Larry.
you.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Okay.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.